Hello, this is Dee Nimson, and today we are going to do another holiday painting, and this one will be a super fun and it is pretty easy of a candy cane, and in the middle we are going to put ribbon and also a few branches from a pine tree, Christmas tree. So the first thing we are going to do is sketch it really fast, but before we begin, please don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you get notifications for our future videos. And if you see, the candy cane is very simple design. So I will have the traceable available for you on my Facebook, and you can check the link in the descriptions below, and that will be it will make it much easier. So for the candy cane, we have two J shapes, and they're connected with a smileys on like a smaller one J and a bigger one, and then both of them are connected with a kind of a round line. And after that we have diagonal lines. I have one, and then two that will be colored in, so it's going to be one skinny, one thick, one skinny, one thick, and then you have the ribbon, which are two C shapes on each side. For the center knot, I have a circle with a swirl, and the branches just have lines around, and I have few berries there. So the most important part is to create that candy cane is to make it seem more three-dimensional. So we are going to add a shadow on the top and the bottom, and I'm using dry on wet, and then with the wet brush I'm gonna go in and kind of distribute all that paint around and make it more transparent. So if some paint is a little bit more difficult, I am going to rub my brush a little bit more with the clean brush to get that paint going, and I'll just leave it to dry. So even though some of the paint it seems too dark, some of the areas will be covered with red, and because the paint is pretty transparent, that blue is going to kind of be see-through the red. And if you see, we have two imperfect C shapes on both sides, and then a circle in the center, and I have a swirl inside to represent the knot that we tied with the ribbon. And from this point I am going to create few different greens, but yeah, we can add a little bit of a shadow on the ribbon. So the ribbon is yellow, and the shadow is a yellow mixed with ochre, and that is going to give us those dark areas where we have a little bit shadow, and it's going to make it more three-dimensional. So we have that shadow close to the area where the ribbon is tied up. And now we are starting with the green parts, and if you see, I have diagonal shapes. Now I just wanted to kind of check the paint here, so I'm not gonna start yet because I need the branches to cover some of that areas, and even though the red's gonna peek through, because our paint is transparent, I'm going to have to add that paint later for the candy cane. So I'm going to continue with the Christmas tree branches, the pine branches, and pretty much I'm using the lightest green that I have, very transparent, and I have one line in the middle, in the center, and then smaller lines coming from that center out. And with my first layer, I'm gonna leave it to dry just a bit, and I have 6 of those little tiny branches to go around, 3 on the top, 3 on the bottom, and also I added few berries there, which I'm leaving just white areas for now, so they're gonna be red. And I will start adding probably 4 or 5 different green colors. And what you want to do with your greens is if you have a good green that you don't have to mix, You can start with that. Usually I brighten my green with a little bit of yellow, and after that I will either start adding blue to my green, or if I have another green in, I'm going to mix those two greens together. So I will create probably like I said, 4 or 5 layers of greens, and they all gonna kind of overlap, and not all of them will have a lot of little needles. So it seemed like I have a lot of empty space, so I'm gonna add a few holly leaves here. So they are just super simple. They have like a pointy end, then a flat side that it's connected with a smileys on both sides going inwards towards the center of the leaf, and then you connect them on the bottom. So that's it, no big deal. And the same thing, I will add to them maybe 2 to 3 layers of green. So everything that you are doing, start with your lightest color and then move from there very slightly, adding more and more different of the same color, or sometimes even different color, to just add more dimension to your object. And right away I added a little bit of yellow on one side. So since it's wet, it's going to start mixing with the other side, with the greener side. And I outlined it when it's wet, because the outline, it's not gonna go to the dry area, but it's definitely gonna start mixing with the area that is wet. So it's going to create a softer edge inside the leaf. So it's going to be sharper on the outside of the leaf, and then it's going to be softer. So I'm starting with the red part, and what I'm doing is, if you see right on the top of each of those lines, I am curving it and almost making it kind of go even out a little bit of on top of the white. So my candy cane will be more three-dimensional. And again, I am having a little more color on top and the bottom versus the center. And if you just put equal amount of red, you can always kind of pick up a little bit with a clean brush. You can just clean your brush and push it down on the area that you want to take the color a little bit out, and that's going to help you create that less of a color in the area. So right here I am going to just add kind of a line that it's behind those branches, but I'm adding it almost there and not, because I still have to work a lot on those branches. And I did pick a little bit of the color on some of the reds. And for the berries, I'm creating a C shape, and after that I will clean my brush, and then I will just gently go over. So one side is going to be very light on color, and the C is going to be much heavier on the color. So if you see right here, I'm creating the C shape, and then I will fill in the rest, not with actual color on my brush, but just with water, and then I'm gonna let the color kind of go into those areas by itself. And you're gonna repeat that for all the berries. And of course on this side I decided to do something different, so you can see it, it's more wet on wet this time. So I made the circles wet, and then I'm gonna go in and add the C on one side. So it's still gonna start merging. I feel like I have, with small objects, I have more control when it's I'm putting my paint on a dry surface, but it still works. So don't over water, don't put too much water. So now I'm going to add a second shadow to my ribbon, and I am using a very dirty blue. So I mixed the blue with a little bit of brown, and you can put even red in it to give it a little bit more of a like purplish hue. So, but it's a brownish bluish kind of a really muddy color, and just added very light lines on the center and also on the surrounding of the ribbon. And now I'm using a little bit of that dirty blue to my green, and I'm gonna start adding lines to my pines, and all the lines from this point. So the first one was filling in the branch a little bit more, and from this point all those lines will be less and less. I am gonna add, let's say our pine has 20 little pointies. I am going to add maybe 15 for the second layer of little spikes. In the next one I am going to add maybe half of that, and pretty much I'm not adding them on top directly of the previous colors, but either to the side or where it needs it. So it's going to create a very three-dimensional piece by adding different colors. So from my really pale green, now I will have bluish green. I will have kind of a really piney green, so I can put a little bit of ochre in my green, so it creates a really beautiful woodsy green. I even added a little bit of purple because purple is the color of our shadows. So just a few very fast and very transparent lines will do the trick. And I'm gonna do that all around the rest of the leaves, and even to my berries, to my candy cane, to my ribbon too. So purple is going to go around. I'm trying to add a little bit of a darker shadow on the side of the berries that we started with that C shape. And there's the few shadows, and again I don't go over with the line all around, so I don't overline. I just do a very little bit here and there, and I'm adding a little bit extra shadow to that bluish shadow on the white side on the top and the bottom, and you see how that right away made it look more three-dimensional, and also a little bit of that on the red part too. And that helps just curve that object and make it kind of go backwards. These few touches, sometimes we just need to touch only with water. We don't have to necessarily use only paint all the time. We are going to add a little bit of that white, and pretty much that's the end of the video. So I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please don't forget to subscribe and check the other Christmas and holiday videos of watercolor, and also I think I have an acrylic one, and I hope to see you next time. Happy painting!